Hey, Beastista here, and welcome to week 6 of the VDL Crew battle. So this week we're playing against the Shiftrees, and we're specifically playing against TomElvis. Before we start, I want to say sorry. I have not been recording as regularly as I normally do because I've had some issues with my recording, but I think I have resolved the issue, so hopefully not only will I have recordings for the rest of the season, I will also have good quality video. So on top of that, before we start, I am currently 5-0, and our team is currently first seed in the division, or in the crew. So our crew is doing great. And I've been doing very good myself. And so I'm hoping to win here. The Shiftrees are actually one of the lower ranked teams, so we're hoping to get a good position to cement our first seed for the crew. So here is the matchup. So their team mascot is Basque Legion. They have Prankster Rain with Graphii. They have good physical damage and slacking, Chimpao. They have double intimidate. And they have redirection with Pachirisu. So lots of annoying things. So one of the big things, however, I do see is that their team is very physical. Other than Moltres, most of their mons are pretty much physical or support. And so that definitely helps with some of the EVs and some of the sets in this. And with this is the team I ended up bringing. So at first we start with Salazzle. As I mentioned, they have double intimidate. And because of double intimidate, we get the adrenaline orb, which will give it a +1 speed, which means it'll outspeed anything. The big one is to outspeed Chimpao, but also outspeed any Scarf Mon that's not Chimpao. We have Heat Wave, Sludge Bomb, and Will-O-Wisp. Just pretty standard moves with Fake Out as a support. Terra Dark is mainly if they have slacking, we can Terra in front of it to prevent them from doing Prankster to steal one of my abilities because Prankster doesn't affect on Dark Mons. Next up, we have Urshifu. This Urshifu is very bulky, mainly physically. Clear Amulet, so it can't be intimidated, and then Bulk Up to increase its physical defense even more. Terra Poison is good defensively and is in particularly helpful to help deal with Sacred Sword, not cutting through the defense boost that I'm hopefully going to get with the Bulk Up. I was very uncertain on the last move. I really wanted Sucker Punch, but I was told that I should. I was told by my teammates, and I decided to stick with it to go with the Poison Jab over the Sucker Punch. Poison Jab pretty much is exclusively for a possible Terra Fairy. Next up, we have Kilowattrel with Focus Sash and Competitive. Competitive is really good if they bring their Intimidators because we can get +2 special attack. It's got Tailwind, Thunderbolt, and Air Slash. And then we have Terra Blast. Terra Blast is both a normal move that can actually do some damage to a Pachirisu that's using Follow Me, but also we did Terra Ground and Terra Blast specifically for the Pachirisu as well. And so it's definitely, it's Terra is definitely as a means to respect the Pachirisu, which I do think is an annoying mom. Next up, we have Screamtail. Screamtail's got a pretty standard set. It's booster speed, so it's guaranteed to outspeed everything other than Scarf, Chimpao. As Thunder Wave for some speed control, Encore and Disable to deal with some like Scarf Mons or Setup Mons, and then Dazzling Gleam for some chip damage. Next up, we have Vaporeon. Vaporeon is a little bit weird of a set. It's got Rocky Helmet to punish physical attackers. We got Baby Doll Eyes to lower the damage. As I mentioned, they have a lot of physical attackers. And then Muddy Water. So those are all pretty reasonable. And then we have the Hyper Voice and Terra Normal. Hyper Voice is mainly, previously I was considering Shadow Ball. I was told I should probably do Hyper Voice because if they do bring Slacking and they steal Water Absorb as the ability, I cannot touch a Water Absorb normal Pokemon if I have only Muddy Water and Shadow Ball. And so that's why I was kind of convinced to run Terra Normal, or Hyper Voice, and then Terra Normal specifically, so I can 1v1 the Basque Legion. And then finally, we have Rillaboom. This Rillaboom is incredibly physically bulky, pretty much max defense, with the Grassy used to get +1 physical defense on top of that. And then we have Body Press. This should one-shot any Chimpao. It's bulky enough to take 2 Ice Spinners from Chimpao. And then if you Terra, you can take a bunch. And then we have the Woodhammer and knock off edges to damage and the bulk up to increase its defense. And so with that, let's get into the match. So here we are for game one. So we were given that Chimpao is Terra Grass, Patrice is Terra Water, Moltres is Terra Water, Graphite is Terra Poison, Basque Legion is Terra Poison, and Go-Goat is Terra Fairy. So with this, I definitely don't know exactly what I want to lead. I could definitely see a couple arguments, but I decide I probably want to lead Salazzle just for fake out support, Will-O-Wisp support. It's a little bit sad that my items are pretty much useless since they didn't bring any of their intimidators. However, next to it, I think the idea is to bring one of my big, bulky physical attackers in either Urshifu and Rillaboom. And I think Urshifu makes the most sense since it just does the most damage and generically is probably the more powerful mom. And then in the back, Vaporeon 100% needs to come. It's a good switch in if they do water move into Slazzle. And then Rillaboom kind of makes the most sense here because I don't really like Kilowattrel too much in the back. And I think Screamtail can be pretty powerful, but I just want to make sure I have enough damage in this game. And so with that, let's get into the game. So they lead Basque Legion Graphite into my Salazzle Urshifu. With the lead that they do, I think the most likely outcome they're going to do is Rain Dance and Wave Crash into my Urshifu. And so I can just go for the Wicked Blow, get the kill on Basque Legion if they don't Terra, and then if it and then Will-O-Wisp into it in case it does Terra, because I probably don't one-shot it. I could definitely consider a hard raid that they were going to do that and switch into the Vaporeon. But the downside if I switch into Vaporeon here is that I don't actually have great damage output into the Basque Legion. And so I like just staying in because I should take a rain boosted Wave Crash, assuming they're not choice banded. And they do, in fact, go for the Rain Dance as I expected. Oh, yes, I also didn't go to fake out into the Graphite because I'm assuming they're Covert Cloak here, and it seems like it wouldn't do anything. As we see, we clearly take it. Not the best, but we do take it. However, since they didn't Terra, the Will-O-Wisp ends up being actually completely useless, and that, I'm going to actually kill them immediately following this, so it ends up not being the most relevant move. However, I don't know how much anything else would have done. Maybe I should have faked out to make sure they are Covert Cloak. But, I think it was a reasonable double up in case they did Terra because I wouldn't have killed it with the Wicked Blow then. So they end up bringing out Chimpao. And with the Chimpao, I'm expecting them to do probably some sort of offensive move into the Urshifu. I don't have Protect. So I think the reasonable play is to switch out. And my Salazzle should outspeed the Graphite, and so therefore I'm going to go for a Will-O-Wisp into the Chimpao. And I've EV trained it to survive any move from Chimpao that doesn't have a damage boosting item. And so staying in with Salazzle seems pretty safe to get this Will-O-Wisp off. So we switch back out into the Vaporeon. And they do, in fact, go for damage into the Urshifu, into Ice Spinner specifically, and that does a chunk of damage. We see that they take some damage with the Rocky Helmet. However, because that how much damage that did, I'm almost positive that Chimpao is choice banned since Life Orb damage didn't occur. And that definitely is really annoying. However, we should get a Will-O-Wisp off, which is pretty good, which means this damage is going to be halved, which is going to be really helpful for the rest of the game. And they just bring out Go-Goat, which though is somewhat annoying into my Vaporeon is not that big of a deal because I do have good damage with the Sludge Bomb into it. Go-Goat is Terra Fairy, so they cannot Terra out of this move. So Sludge Bomb should do over 50%. I considered Will-O-Wisp, but I think rather just getting a good chunk of damage makes the most sense. And I decided to go kind of a middle ground of Will-O-Wisp and Sludge Bomb, in that I Sludge Bomb into Go-Goat here, and then I just go for Baby Doll Eyes onto Go-Goat, since it's most likely going to be physical. So they end up switching out of the Chimpao, which makes sense since the Ice move does not do good damage to anything on the team. And as I mentioned, I'm almost positive they're banded. We go for the Baby Doll Eyes, so lower his physical attack, which means they should take a Horned Leech or something like that. And Sludge Bomb ends up doing a chunk of damage, about 80%. However, we see that Go-Goat's actually physical or special. And so the Baby Doll Eyes ended up doing nothing. The Surf ends up killing my Salazzle, doing a little bit of damage to Graph which in the end is not the biggest deal. But it being special is not terrible for me. And so we just bring out the Rillaboom. Rillaboom should be able to comfortably take pretty much any attack on the field. I can see an argument for carrying it here since they might hit me with a poison move, but I feel pretty safe to just go for damage into the Go-Goat, which we see here gets a boost from my grassy terrain, and so is that +1 defense. But here I just go for the body press to the Go-Goat, and then the options are Muddy Water and Hyper Voice, and I decide to go for the Hyper Voice just for the consistent damage. It's going to do a little bit more damage to the Go-Goat specifically, and also I can Terra here on my Vaporeon instead of my Rillaboom, so I can take the grass move better if I want to. Another reason to go for this move is to play around the possibility of Graph using Doodle and taking my Water Absorb, which if they did do that, Muddy Water could basically lose me the game. And so this is also kind of just the safest play in that aspect. So they go for the Gunk Shot. Luckily, they miss. I definitely take it. I, however, don't know if I take 2. However, we see that Body Press just misses out on the KO here, which is pretty sad. However, because I Terra'd, I take that Giga Drain pretty well, and the Hyper Voice should definitely kill the Go-Goat from this range. And we see we get the kill. So from here, I'm feeling pretty good. The Chien-Pao in the back is choice band, so it's gonna kind of be locked into awkward move no matter what. And it's burned, so it's not going to do too much damage. And Hyper Voice is definitely in range that it should kill Graph. And just with the burn damage and the Rocky Helmet and the fact that Chien-Pao's burned, I feel like I should be able to clean this up. And so here, because Chien-Pao is burned, I decided to just go for the Body Press and the Graph. I try to make sure I get the kill on it in case it doesn't get the kill with the Hyper Voice, and then go for the Hyper Voice just to get the extra damage. Like I said, I could theoretically have done some. I might have Baby Doll Eyes into Graph if I got hit by the poison, the Gunk Shot earlier. But because I feel pretty safe, I should be able to take a double up. I just go for the double damage. And they end up Terra Poisoning the Graph which means that they're going to try to do even more damage. We take the Ice Spinner. Okay, not great. It's doing about the same damage as it did last time since I'm no longer resisted. They get rid of the Grassy Terrain, which I don't really care too much about. And they connect the Gunk Shot this time into the Rillaboom. And as we can see, we almost certainly would have died if they ended up getting a second one, or if they hit it the first time. However, I feel like Hyper Voice might have killed the Graph even if they hit both Gunk Shots, so I feel like I would have been in okay shape. But now this game is completely over. Either my Pokemon hitting the Chien-Pao should kill it, and Chien-Pao does not even threaten to kill either of these Pokemon at this range unless they get a crit. And so I can pretty comfortably just go for the Body Press and Hyper Voice, and whichever one, whichever goes first should get the kill. And as we can see here, Ice Spinner, even though it's super effective, and Choice Banded, it actually ends up not getting the kill. And we are able to get the win. So with that, let's go to game. Let's hero for game 2. So game 1 went pretty well, and so I'm just kind of debating of whether or not I want to change anything up. I decided I want to go with Salazzle again because I'm assuming they're going to change their lead, and any lead that doesn't have the Graph fake out will be really good. And from here, it's like, do I want to lead Rillaboom or anything else? And I decided that it seems like the most sense is just to lead Urshifu again, and as I mentioned, I kind of almost always want Vaporeon in the back since it's the only Mon that really effectively does well into the Moltres. And it's one of the best switch-ins in the Basculegion. And then finally, the kind of decision was the last Mon, and I sat on Rillaboom here. I considered a couple of the other Mons because Grassy Terrain giving the boost to the Go-Goat was a little bit annoying, but I still think it does pretty well. And I don't like, as I mentioned, like Screamtail can be pretty powerful, but it can be really awkward, especially if Graph has something like Taunt. And it can be really awkward in front of a Pachirisu that has Follow Me. And so with that, I decided to just go with the same 4 with the same lead. And so with that, let's get into the game. So I ended up leading Pachirisu Basket Legion, which more or less makes sense. And I lead my Slazzle and Urshifu. So here we can fake up Pachirisu and then go for the Wicked Blow into Basket Legion. However, they're likely going to Terra because that's the obvious play that I will make. And so I think that it makes sense for me, instead of doing that, to possibly read the Basket Legion going for the water move into Slazzle and switch into the Vaporeon, and either go for an attacking move into the Pachirisu or do a bulk up. And so I decide to just switch into the Vaporeon because I'm pretty sure they're going for the water move into that spot. And here, like I said, Wicked Blow or bulk ups are the options. I decided to bulk up because I feel like getting at +1, I should be in amazing shape. And we switch into the Vaporeon, and as expected, they end up going for the Terra on the Basque Legion. So they end up going for Follow Me for Pachirisu, and if they go for the water move into Vaporeon, we have a perfect turn 1, and they do go into the Vaporeon with that. And so we get a free switch in and a free bulk up off, and so now Urshifu's at +1 attack and +1 defense. And so now Basque Legion really doesn't threaten it, and I'm in pretty good shape. And so here, there's not much to do with Vaporeon other than just go for the Muddy Water. And then probably here we just go for the Wicked Blow and specifically the Pachirisu, since we don't want it to get nuzzled by the Urshifu, or the Urshifu to get nuzzled. And they end up going for an Encore, which I definitely was not expecting, and I get max punish for. On top of the fact that they end up being a fast Pachirisu, because because I have a higher base speed, so they have to actually have a reasonable amount of speed investment in order to outspeed me and get that up. It's not the end of the world, because if they don't have Moltres in the back, then these bulk ups are actually very good. And so as long as I can kill Pachirisu before the Encore is over, I should be in actually pretty good shape. However, this is definitely a really annoying position in which if I had Sucker Punch, I could actually get out of the Encore at any point without, even if Pachirisu was still in the field, because I could always Sucker Punch to get out of it. Lock it into Sucker Punch, which, though not the best, it can be very useful. So they end up switching out the Basque Legion and to the Chiempao, which I honestly am not too concerned with. I think this is, like, obviously it's somewhat annoying, but it's not the end of the world, because I'm getting these bulk ups off, and my Urshifu is at a very high defense, and so there's not really a way for them to break through. And so if they don't have Moltres in the back, Urshifu is eventually going to win this game by itself, which is why I'm staying in despite being encored. And we get another little bit of chip with the Muddy Water, and it's the last turn of Encore here. And so I decided to make a very greedy play, which is switch into the Slazzle in order to fake out Pachirisu so I can break the Encore. And then Terra Poison here, reading a Sacred Sword into the Urshifu, which would bypass my defense boosts. So the reason why I made this play is, in my mind, I'm like, Slazzle takes any move from the Chiempao. However, I knew from game 2 that Slazzle is choice banded. And with the choice ban, Slazzle actually does not take a move from the Chiempao. And so this is definitely a little bit of a greedy decision, especially with using my Terra on a Mon that is encored. And so they end up going for the Crunch, which ends up getting the one-hit KO on the Slazzle because it's choice banded. And then the Nuzzle goes into the Urshifu, paralyzing my Mon that I just teared. So one of the big things that I would also say here is that was just a dumb move, because I knew that if they did just crunch into that spot, it was going to die because of the choice ban. However, now, because I don't have Fake Out on my Rillaboom, there's nothing I can do to prevent them from encoring me again. And Rillaboom, honestly speaking, I don't know why I don't bring in Rillaboom here. Rillaboom, though it would take a crunch, it would actually take it pretty reasonably well, and I threatened to kill both of these Pokemon. So honestly, I probably should have brought Rillaboom in here. I just brought in Vaporeon just because I felt like it. And as we can see, the crunch does pretty good damage. However, and there's a pretty good chance that it might have gotten killed if I kept it in, which means I would have gotten the free switch into Slazzle, which then would have put me in an amazing position because I would have gotten the fake out. However, I get Encored again. We get bulk ups off. This is not the end of the world as long as they don't have Moltres in the back. If Moltres is not in the back, this game is pretty much over, assuming Urshifu doesn't get terribly unlucky with Paras. So here, there's not too much to do. I sadly missed the Muddy Water and Pachirisu. I'm debating in between doing another Muddy Water or going for the Protect to bait out, to stall out some turns of Encore. And so I end up going for the Protect and then the bulk up because I'm forced to, because I'm Encored. As we see, we go for the Protect. And they did, in fact, go for a Crunch into the Urshifu, which still does a pretty good chunk of damage despite me being at, I think, at +4, +5 at this point. And we get another bulk off. Like I said, I've kind of lost track at this point because I've had so many of them. And we have one more turn of Encore here. And so we really need Pachirisu to go down. And so we just go for the Muddy Water. There's not much we can do. There's no reason to really switch in. And it's the best damage. And we have to go for the bulk up. They go for the Crunch into the Urshifu again, which is not too bad. They end up going for the Nuzzle into Vaporeon, in which Vaporeon survives, which is huge because I am able to hopefully kill the Pachirisu, ending my Encore, which ends at this turn. And with this, Vaporeon might be able to get a double KO if it double connects, and it double connects and does give the double KO. And so this game, though I've been Encored for 6 consecutive turns, is in my favor if they do not have Moltres in the back. If they have Moltres in the back, I am probably in bad shape because Moltres should be able to one-shot my Urshifu from this range. And so basically that's how the game comes. And we see they have Basque Legion in the back and Moltres. So this is so sad. And so we're in pretty bad shape, especially with having Rillaboom in the back and already using my Terra. So there's not much I can do except for go to Muddy Water. Another position here, if we had Sucker Punch, we'd actually be in very good shape because Sucker Punch at +5 or +6 attack should one-shot the Moltres, and I could just Sucker Punch kill Moltres before it can move. However, I don't have Sucker Punch here. And so this game has definitely been very awkward just because I haven't had Sucker Punch. I definitely think that, as I mentioned, when I switched in the Vaporeon early on, I definitely could have switched in Rillaboom instead, and that would have done more offensive threatening to both of the Pokemon and theoretically been able to prevent Urshifu from dying. However, we see Urshifu just gets hit with a Hurricane, which ended up actually meaning that I had about a 30% chance to still win this game despite all these Encore shenanigans. However, they just go for the damage with both and kill my Pokemon. So now we have Rillaboom into these 2 Pokemon. Rillaboom cannot threaten to kill either of these Pokemon because I don't have any super effective moves into any of these. And on top of that, my Rillaboom is not even that offensive leaning. It's more defensive leaning. And so at this point, the game is over. It's just going to see. It just depends on which of the 2 of their mons are going to get the kill. Like I go for the knockoff to kind of see what the item is, since I kind of have an idea of what some of the item is on the other ones. And they end up connecting the second Hurricane and getting the 1-hit KO on Rillaboom, and I end up losing the game. So that one was definitely a little bit annoying. I definitely think I didn't play as cleanly as I could. I definitely think that if I would have just Wicked Blow on turn 1 instead of going for the bulk up, I also might have been able to get there. But I kind of just, in the end, I think even with all my plays, if I had Wicked Blow, or if I had Sucker Punch over Poison Jab, I probably could have gotten there. So a little bit of prep issue and a little bit of play issue. But with that, we go to game 3. So here for game 3, and I 100% am expecting Pachirisu on lead again. With Pachirisu on lead again, the most reasonable thing I can think of to try to get it out of the way pretty quickly is just going to be kill Watchel, Terra Blast, do it. it's pretty safe since it's Focus Sash, and so I feel like just leading Kilowattrel to try to get the kill on Pachirisu will do good work. Because honestly speaking, Pachirisu was the only thing that was super concerning for me. With that, we want something else that can outspeed Pachirisu and something like a Patch Legion. And so with that, I decided to go with the Salazzle. This also gives me some fake out pressure if they lead something annoying. Vaporeon, as I mentioned, kind of guaranteed to bring. And then Urshifu is the last one. I could definitely see an argument for the Screamtail. It is very good into the Chi and Pow, which is choice banded, because if you disable the choice banded move, it completely makes it do it. However, I just went with the kind of consistent ones. And here we are for game 3, and they lead Pachirisu Basculegion into my Salazzle and Kilowattrel. As expected, they lost. They led Pachirisu, and as I mentioned, my plan is to get rid of Pachirisu on turn 1. And so the best way to get rid of Pachirisu is Terra Blast, and go for either Sludge Bomb or Heat Wave. I decide to go for the Terra Blast, as I mentioned. I considered whether or not normal Terra plus Heat Wave would kill the Pachirisu, and there's a chance that normal Terra plus Heat Wave would kill it, but it's not guaranteed, whereas this is pretty much guaranteed, and I go for this. The reason I go for Heat Wave over Sludge Bomb, it gives me a little bit of variance. However, if they do Terra the Basculegion, or if they don't and I somehow get the burn, I'd be in amazing shape. And with the Terra Ground Kilowattrel, we're hoping that we should be able to get the clean kill on the Pachirisu here. And we see it does a very good chunk of damage, doesn't quite kill. I don't think that the Terra Blast would have done enough with the Heat Wave, but there's a chance. However, we sadly miss the Basculegion, so we can't even get a chance for burns. However, luckily we kill the Pachirisu, which is the main plan, and they end up going for a non-water move, possibly reading into a Vaporeon switch in, possibly because they think I'm Focus Sash. And actually, no, they know I'm not Focus Sash at this point, so I'm not sure why they went for that instead of just the Wave Crash, other than possibly just a Vaporeon read. So here I am expecting them to honestly Aqua Jet and go for a move to try to kill Kilowattrel. However, if they don't specifically do that, I feel like I am in really awkward shape if I just let Salazzle die and I switch into Vaporeon here. So I decided to just stay in, go for the Tailwind, and then go for the Will-O-Wisp and the Basculegion. Yep, so as we see, they do go for the Aqua Jet as I expected, and they go for the Crunch into the Kilowattrel. This is definitely something I expected to a certain extent. I could have made the read and switched into the Vaporeon here. However, as I mentioned, did not want to risk them just separate doing one attack on each of these Mons and then just completely getting in a really awkward position. Whereas here, I end up getting a clean Will-O-Wisp off. So I bring out Urshifu. The reason I bring out Urshifu is because the Chi and Pow is locked into Crunch now, and it cannot hit my Urshifu. And I am expecting Chi and Pow to switch out or Terra Grass. And so if they Terra Grass, then Drain Punch or Wicked or probably Wicked Blow is the best. And if they switch out, Wicked Blow is the best. So I'm leaning Wicked Blow. However, my teammate kind of convinces me I should keep it. I should go with Drain Punch. Don't know why. And so here I also am going to read a Aqua Jet into the Salazzle and switch into the Vaporeon. Yeah. And they do switch out Chi and Pow as I expected. However, sadly, the Mon in the back is Moltres, which means the Wicked Blow was wrong play. As I mentioned, I wanted to do Wicked Blow. I was convinced by my teammate to go for a Drain Punch, which I think is explicitly the incorrect play. And as we see, the Wicked Blow would have been in a great position. I don't think Wicked Blow one-shots the Moltres, but it does a very good chunk of damage. They end up going for Last Respects instead of an Aqua Jet, so the switch-in isn't completely free, but it's not a bad switch-in. And we see here that my Urshifu ends up doing not great damage to the Moltres, where Wicked Blow would have almost one-shot it. And so here I can't really switch out and back out into my Salazzle, so there's not much I can do other than just hoping that they go for a move into Vaporeon, read into Protect, or they miss the Hurricane. and so I go for the Wicked Blow, trying to kill Moltres, and Muddy Water, which if Moltres does not Terra, which I'm expecting them to Terra here, will do a very good chunk of damage. And so here I'm just need Hurricane to miss or to get a muddy water accuracy drop this turn. Terra Water as I expected, and Hurricane misses. This was such an important miss that needed to occur because with that, Urshifu was able to get the Wicked Blow off, kill the Moltres, and on top of getting that kill, I luckily do not get burned by Flame Body. That is an absurdly lucky turn, and I definitely somehow feel like I'm in the advantageous position, especially with the accuracy drop too. Yeah, so definitely that was incredibly lucky. I feel like if I would have Wicked Blowed like I was originally planning to until my teammate convinced me to do Drain Punch instead, I probably would have been in okay shape because Muddy Water probably would have killed Moltres even after the Terra. However, here I am now in an amazing position. I should be able to take any double up, and I go for the Baby All Dies just to make sure. And because they already used the Terra, Drain Punch should get the clean one-hit KO onto the Chi and Pow and heal me up to enough life where I basically should not be able to lose another Mon. So we go for the Baby Dies. Now Chi and Pow is at -1. And they go for the Ice Spinner, which makes sense. We see that they don't have Sacred Sword. And that does a very good chunk of damage. Wave Crash misses because of the accuracy drop. However, I'm pretty confident I would have survived that anyways because of the fact that I've took a rain boosted one and it is currently burned. And I get back up to max HP and get the clean kill. And now this game is pretty much over, and it's just whether I'm going to get the kill with Urshifu or Vaporeon, in which it looks like I should get it with Urshifu with the Wicked Blow. Yeah, this was definitely not one of my best matches. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I played particularly well in this game per se. I got incredibly lucky. I think Tom probably should have won the set. And honestly speaking, I think the big issues were twofold. Sucker Punch on Urshifu. If I had it, I think game 2 would have been a lot easier, possibly could win. And this match as well, if I had Sucker Punch, I wouldn't have needed the Hurricane miss. Sucker Punch could have killed the Moltres. And so I definitely have that as a big issue. The other one was I think the Vaporeon switch in game 2 was a big loss. I think that I maybe could have made the hard read and actually made that switch earlier on. But in the end, I'm very happy to get the win. I'm now 6-0 on the season, and our team is firmly in first place. However, I definitely think that I could have made a little bit of better plays here. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.